ready for a 43-minute homily. Honestly, if I gave a 43-minute homily, I'd be the first one out the door. So, the first thing I want to say is I'm wearing something from the parish, something the parish actually made. We have a wonderful sewing group here, led by Audrey Graff, and they actually made me Deacon stoles, which I'll show you now, this beautiful stole. I want to be a priest because I'm not a very good model. I was driving with my mother the other day when we passed by the bank where I used to work. And the first thing I thought of was the interesting way in which my employment ended. Well, I'm not here to belittle any specific bank or anyone who works for a bank. I can tell you that I ran into a conflicting issue that I could not come to terms with. As this was going on, I was already discerning a calling to the priesthood and was awaiting final acceptance as a seminarian. There is a big difference between what is legally right and what is morally right. And the particular bank I worked for focused almost entirely on the legal aspect, without much thought of the moral implications. And having been raised in a good Catholic parish, with a good Catholic family, with like values and morals instilled in me, I found it hard to slide in products under unsuspecting people's noses as they were asking me, especially the elderly, of which the bank regularly asked me to do. One particular day, I was training one of the new bankers. My manager, who must have just gotten off the phone with the regional office, was about 2 shades of purple as he approached me, and he called me back into his office. He then proceeded to interrogate me about if I did or did not get any new accounts that day. Now, my job that day was to train the new banker, so no, I said that was not my priority. I tried to explain to him that I was following the orders that the assistant manager gave me, but he would not listen. And then one of the most abrasive things that has ever occurred to me in my life took place. He proceeded to chew me out, using every manner of swear word, especially the bad ones, and scream in my face, spittle flying everywhere. This was more than being reprimanded. He was taking his own frustrations and anger out on me, and it was beyond demeaning. All I could think about as he was reaming me out was, I have more dignity than this. I have more dignity as a child of God and through Jesus' own incarnation as a human. We all share that dignity. So I stopped him as calmly as I could, and I informed him that I do indeed have far more dignity than the way he was disrespecting me, and let him know that no one should be treated that way, and I walked out. His face turned white as he immediately realized what he had done and followed me like a sad puppy dog out to my car to try and apologize and persuade me to stay. I wasn't ultimately upset with him. I know how high-pressure retail jobs can be. Pressure from above goes down the chain. But I wasn't returning to that toxic environment. And to my surprise, the company gave me an extremely generous unemployment package as a friendly reminder that maybe I shouldn't take legal action against them. In this whole incident, I struggled in my heart as to how to handle best this mistreatment. And I tried to use a calm and caring voice to express that. So how does that relate to the gospel, and how does that relate to today? In the gospel, as I was reading and preparing for my homily, I had noticed some similarities between the experience that I had and the way that Jesus rebukes his apostles. Jesus' disciples wanted to bring down God's wrath on the Samaritan people, who would not host Jesus in his travels. And they weren't necessarily wrong for thinking so. Because his destination was Jerusalem, it was not with the Samaritans. He was going on through to the kingdom of Judah in the south, and not staying in the northern kingdom where the Samaritans, the pagans, lived. So he rebukes them. And these words in the gospel have so much meaning. In so many ways, we are called to battle with our hearts, not our mouths, our actions, or our fists. And Jesus knows the struggle personally, as so many times he chose love and kindness over violence and anger. The ancient Hebrew people believed that the heart is where the soul resides, and I'm inclined to believe that as well. So how do we struggle with our hearts and souls instead of our fists and our words? When we just wish people were kind enough to let us out onto Leechburg Road when it seems like a train of traffic is coming, we battle with our hearts. When we choose to love family members that continually make the wrong choices in life, our hearts do the battling. When we are ridiculed for our religious beliefs and we are called bigots, we struggle in our heart not to respond to unkindness with unkindness, and we bear it on our chest. When our belief that life, which begins with natural conception and ends at natural death, is under attack, we stand at the front lines of our faith with our hearts exposed, taking the lashings for us. When we struggle with men who have sullied the name of our beloved faith, we know in our hearts that the truth of God's love will shine forth. When the political arena is filled with name-calling and ego-lifting, we know in our hearts that this country is greater than the divide trying to be forced upon us. And never forget that Jesus' struggles in his heart led him to a horrible death on that cross, all because he loved us so much. So the next time we want to act out in anger, imagine Jesus rebuking us to do the right thing. Let us take time this week to listen from our hearts more than our heads, calling upon our own spirit and the Holy Spirit to guide us to live more Christ-like lives in this headstrong world.